The Toronto Maple Leafs have a huge problem in terms of goaltending. Sheldon Keefe speaks out on the goaltending woes and how will goaltending affect the Maple Leaf season the rest of the way. All of that and more in this video. My name is Darius Domingues and welcome back to Leafs Digest. Guys, we've noticed that about 80% of you watching these videos are not actually subscribed to the channel. So if you could do myself and the other content creators a huge favor, hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with everything Toronto Maple Leafs. Guys, let's get right into it. Samsonov is struggling. It is a huge problem for the Leafs this year. Goaltending has been a point of weakness for the team, especially defense as well. But they're getting some bodies back on defense and, some surprise performances from guys like Simone Benoit and stuff like that. But let's focus more on the goaltending. Samsonov is struggling. He was the Leafs' #1 goaltender last year. He won a playoff series for the team, the first playoff series win in 20 years. And he's just not getting the job done right now. He has not found it. And it is a real issue. It's a good thing they signed Martin Jones because he's been able to right the ship a little bit so far this season, with Joseph Woll going down. Joseph Woll, in my eyes, being the bona fide #1 starter for this team now. But, you'd like to see Samsonov, considering what he makes, play better than AHL caliber or sub AHL caliber. And with that being said, let's take a look at his stats. So far this season, he's played 15 games. He's won 5 of them. He has 1 shutout. I believe that was against the Nashville Predators, a good game, one of the more complete games from the Leafs this year. His goals against average is 3.94, which is pretty bad, but you got to take a look at the save percentage. I mean, goals against average could go into how your defense is playing as well. Like, you can't look at that stat. It can't be can't die on a hill for that stat, but the save percentage is where it's at. 862, not even close to NHL level, not even AHL level. That is unplayable. 862 save percentage this season. I mean, he's a 903 in his career. That is not bad. But it just goes to show that this season is weighing him down. What would his numbers be in his career without this season, right? Like, he is a pretty good goaltender, looking at history. And this year, he has just not been able to figure it out. I don't know what it is. It's a mental battle for him so far this year. He just has not been able to look like himself. He looks sporadic. He's all over the crease. His lateral movements are all over the place. He doesn't look calm at all. When you watch guys like Martin Jones and Joseph Woll in the crease, they seem calm, cool, and collected, like they can, take over the game, kind of makes big saves and big moments. And Samsonov, I haven't seen that from him. Huge loss last night, and we'll get into it, to the Columbus Blue Jackets. You can't lose that game, especially the way the team played. Samsonov made, I think, 14 saves. It's unacceptable to lose 6-5 and you make 14 saves. It's to one of the bottom feeders in the league. It's absolutely unacceptable. All right, and if you want to look at some comparables for Illya Samsonov with his stats, Vesa Toskala's worst year as a Leaf was in 2009-10, what a year to remember, when he put up an 880 save percentage. League average that year was a 909. Illya Samsonov currently has an 871 in a year when the league average is 903. That's the territory he's in right now. That is terrible. If you look at those stats, that is truly terrifying. Because if you remember Vesa Toskala in that era of Leafs hockey, he was horrible. I mean, he was good on the Sharks, and I think that's why they traded for him, but it was the same thing as Andrew Raycroft. Just a horrible turnout. And those stats do not lend well to Samsonov whatsoever. That is really shocking. It's really scary for a guy who should be your #1. Like, on paper, should be your #1 starting goaltender, and outplayed Andrei Vasilevsky last year in the playoffs. Like, what happened? What happened? It must be mental. He's got to fight through. He's got to find his game, but I don't think he can find his game at the NHL level anymore. I think this experiment ended last night with the Columbus loss. It had to have ended last night. It's just, you cannot keep throwing him out there to the Wolves. And on top of it, forget Samsonov on a personal level. The Leafs, which I hope he finds it and I hope everything's okay with him. Let me just say that. But on as the hockey team, for the hockey team, they have to win games. And you can't keep throwing this guy to the Wolves out there when he doesn't have it and expecting the team to win. They're going to lose every time. They have been. The Buffalo game was horrible. A couple of the goals he let in. Even last night, there was one goal where I was like, this is not even close to what they need. Not even, not NHL level, all right? And speaking of the Marlies and maybe giving him a break or giving him a little bit of a conditioning stint, if you were to waive Samsonov and call up Hildeby, which is a whole another conversation I'll touch on very quickly after this, and see if he and Jones can keep the ship afloat until Woll comes back, the Leafs need their ammunition for defense upgrades, and goalies are so random you can't be sure you're buying an improvement, which is true. I'm not sure they should make a trade or be in the trade, kind of realm for a goaltender. I don't think that's the move you should make. You have, two pretty decent ones, I think, right now. And Hildeby with the Marlies has been great. The Hilda Beast, as they've labeled him so far this year. He has been good. I think he's 22. I think you can maybe give him a pro game here and there. Not a pro game, sorry, an NHL game. He's been playing pro in the AHL so far this year and been very good. I think you can, throw him in the NHL for a little bit, see if he sinks or swims. I don't think he's too young. It's not like you're throwing an 18-year-old in there. I think he can handle a game or two. I'm not saying call him up full time and expect him to be the savior of this team, but I think you can give him a game or two. He's been excellent in the Marlies, and eventually you want this guy to take over the reins. He is the guy that they're kind of developing down there to take over the reins in a few years. So why wouldn't you give him a shot at that, right? I think they have to try something. They absolutely have to try something because they're running out of time with this situation, and they have to do something. But let's take a look at what Chris Johnson says. Of the 60 goalies with at least 10 appearances this season, Illya Samsonov is dead last amongst them with an .840 save percentage. The Leafs are running out of time with him. It's true, they are running out of time. He is dead last in NHL goalies with at least 10 appearances this season. That is not good. That's not good at all. And he's, supposed to be a regular. He's supposed to be a starting goaltender. He has not found it so far this year. It's tough to see. It's tough to watch. But after that loss last night against Columbus, Sheldon Keefe did speak out on Samsonov because he's been quite quiet about Samsonov, besides saying he really hopes he finds it and he wants to play him in certain games to see if he finds it against weaker opponents. He hasn't. So the experiment has pretty much ended in my eyes, but we'll take a look here. That Keefe on whether alternatives to Samsonov are under consideration. It is the NHL. We need saves, we need points, we need wins. I am sure Tree is going to consider everything. I don't know if he should consider a trade. I just mentioned that. He should probably consider calling up the Hilda Beast. But yeah, like I said, to lose 6-5 in overtime to Columbus again is terrible. It can't happen. It can't happen. And like you said, it's the NHL. At the end of the day, the team played really good. The team played, they had their mistakes. It wasn't a perfect game. It wasn't perfection by any means. But they need a save. They needed a couple of those saves. They need points. And they need wins. They need to climb the ladder in the Atlantic. They need to secure a playoff spot. They can't be like around the wild card spot, maybe end up playing Boston or something. You want home ice. You're a good team. You need to get these points and these wins, all right? So that's where they're at. And then Sheldon Keefe again, obviously, like I said, the game wasn't perfect, but the mistakes get magnified when you don't get saves. And he's talking about, of course, Illya Samsonov last night. Even the overtime winner. You could probably just go into the butterfly. Listen, I'm not a goalie. I'm not a goalie coach. I play goalie for fun, maybe, here and there, ball hockey, something like that. I don't know anything about the position, like positionally and all this stuff, but mentally he's not there right now. He's doing things that are just weird. It's just really odd. Some weird saves that he doesn't need to make. He's flailing around a little bit. Like I said, his lateral movement side to side, he's all over the place. Reminds me a little bit of Cujo, except Cujo would actually make the saves. But yeah, he's just all over the place. I hope he finds it. But yeah, let me know what you think. I think they should probably give Hildeby, because Joseph Woll is going to be out quite some time still, I think until he's 100%. And you cannot ride Martin Jones as, the number one and only. He can't play back-to-backs, you got to give the guy rest too. And I don't know if Samsonov is an option right now. I think the only option they have here is to call up Hildeby and see what they have with him. Because honestly, I don't think trade is the route you should go for goaltending for this team. You have to save your trade chips for a big fish, a big defenseman, or other defensive pieces. I think that's where you should add in terms of a trade with this team. So let me know what you think in the comments. Should they give Hildeby a little bit of a shot? I think so. Don't ride him like a number one goaltender, but just see what he has at the NHL level. But I think Samsonov's time as a Maple Leaf maybe not as a Maple Leaf is done, but his time right now, this little experiment, he needs some time in the AHL. They need to work with him a little bit to build back up his confidence. So let's hope Joseph Woll comes back soon. But again, let me know what you think in the comments, and we'll see you for another video tomorrow.